On behalf of the Southeast MHTTC, welcome and thank you for joining part 3 of our collaborative series with the Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network, Trauma and the Peer Perspective, Mental Health and the Holidays. If you missed our first 2 parts in this series, be sure to visit our website and access the on-demand recordings. Please join me in welcoming Jay, Roz, and our panelists from the Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network as they explore challenges and supportive resources during the holiday season.
Thank you, Stephanie. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. After all, it's the most wonderful time of the year, and Santa Claus is coming to town. But what do the lonely do at Christmas? The hype, the tradition, the expectations of the holiday can create a lot of pressure and distress. My name is Rosalind Hayes, and I'm a person in long-term recovery and the Chief Training Officer at the Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network. I'm a valued employee and family member. I'm a homeowner, taxpayer, and registered voter. I take care of my dogs and I'm available for my friends. And I will be going home to spend the Christmas holidays with my mom, as I have done for the past 13 years. I will hand it off to my brother, Jay.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jay Hughes, and I too am a person in long-term recovery from substance use disorder and mental health challenges. I speak out about recovery because I believe that it's the expectation, and I believe that the recovery pathway is large and expansive enough for anyone to travel. I am a consultant with the Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network. I'm also a certified peer specialist for mental health as well as for addictive disease, and I am so happy to be here to talk about what do we do around this holiday time. So thank you.
All right. So according to the American Psychological Association, 38% of people surveyed said that their stress increases during the holiday season, which can lead to physical illness, depression, anxiety, and substance misuse. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, they found that 64% of individuals living with mental illness felt that their conditions worsened around the holiday. It could be, trauma and abuse, whether it's from the past or happening now, and this could include like the holiday time, that pressure to get together with family. It might include seeing people who remind you of difficult or traumatic experiences. It could be having to deal with people who don't accept you. Maybe, you're part of the LGBT community or which, some of your family members find unacceptable, or maybe they don't understand your mental health concerns. Might be having difficulty with partners and other family members. Dealing with expectations could be difficult, including, what the family traditions are, cultural expectations, demands on your time, setting boundaries and having less privacy could be a problem. And the list goes on and on and on. And so today it's our goal to explore some of these challenges and to offer some suggestions and solutions. And so we have today Pam Brooks-Crump, Claudia Hamilton, and Ray Thompson, who joined us to talk about this. Hello from New Mexico. And so I'd like to give everyone a chance to introduce themselves, and then we will come back around. Starting with you, Pam.
I am Pam Brooks-Crump. I'm also a person in long-term recovery, and what that means to me is that I have 25 and a half years recovery from traumas, mental health challenges, and substance misuse. I am most importantly a brand new grandma, and I'm going to be going back for the holidays to Michigan to see my granddaughter and my daughter and her husband. I'm also an ambassador for Georgia Recovery, representing 800,000 people in Georgia that are in recovery. I am a voter, and I am a person who voted on today. And I am the Trauma-Informed Care Project Coordinator for the Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network, and it will almost be 6 years that I've been there. And so happy with my life, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Claudia.
Yeah, so Good afternoon. I'm Claudia Hamilton. I am also a person in long-term recovery. I'm also a mom. I'm a coworker. I work with the Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network as the Director of Peer Services. I'm a friend to a lot of people. I'm important to a lot of people today. And I can say that confidently. And I'm really glad to be here and be on this panel. And I look forward to this conversation. Thanks.
Thank you. Great.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ray Thompson. I'm also a person in long-term recovery. And what that means for me is that today I show up for me. There was a time where I once put so many other people first and considered myself last, but today self-care has taught me that I can't do much for anybody else if I don't take care of me first. And so I live a life today full of joy, full of hope. I'm still a giver. I'm just learning how to give and take care of me at the same time. And I'm grateful to be here with everybody. And I'm thankful that I was even asked to join this panel. So thank you all.
Thanks for everyone. Thanks everyone for being here. We're going to be having a lot of conversation about managing through these times and how we celebrate and you know, a lot of times we don't think about folks who don't celebrate. And there's a certain pressure that comes for people who, you know, choose not to partake because of all the expectations of joining in and being jolly and being a part of all of the festivities. But there are lots of folks who, for whatever reason, choose not to celebrate, you know, maybe for religious reasons, maybe for other reasons. And so I'd like to ask Jay to speak to this.
Oh, thank you, Roz. So for me, it's funny because when I was even asked to be on this, the third part, we've been consistent with all 3 parts of this. So if you haven't checked out part 1 and 2, please do. So when I was asked and I seen the title, I was like, why are they asking me? I don't even celebrate Christmas. And they was like, you don't celebrate Christmas? I was like, no. And it was like, why? And for me, I sort of became the Grinch in a sense because I've spent a lot of my young adult life in federal and state prison. And one thing about federal and state prison, they got a habit, they take everything. So at one year, they started taking Christmas. I'm like, how y'all gonna take Christmas? Y'all took the good Lord's birth. How y'all gonna do that? So from then, I had to sort of make this, what I refer to as an adaptation to how I even view the holidays based on them taking Christmas from me. That was trying to kind of traumatizing for me. So moving forward in my life, I just sort of became desensitized to the holidays because I feel like that was a coping mechanism for me because I feel like if they didn't give it to me, they couldn't take it away. So I just started kind of practicing actually I started telling myself and a lot of my peers in prison was like, this is just another day. And for me, like when I reflect on it, I just realized that it wasn't always like that for me. As a kid, I love the holidays. It was always something just infectious in the air as it relates to just joyful and season and giving. It was like a lot of people put a lot of their personal issues and challenges, specifically within our family, to the side to be able to come together at this joyous moment. But when I went into the system, that changed for me and I never really got it back. Once I came home, I tried to, engage in the holidays and get into the gift sharing, and that exploded my budget. So that sent me back again. I'm like, I can't even afford Christmas. They took Christmas, and then when I tried to get it back, I couldn't afford it. So now I'm at a point where it's a few things that I kind of do, and I would just give them to you briefly around this time. So one is I kind of acknowledge how I feel and be honest about that with those individuals. And some of those feelings could be anxious, worried, stressed out. And also I had to kind of take my emotional temperature to make sure that I had these coping skills, and we learned a lot of these coping skills throughout our trainings to be able to express and name those emotions. And it was important that I didn't isolate myself and I connect with others, but also kind of practice tolerance those individuals that didn't have my experience. I didn't want to become that Grinch and come around everybody. It was like, what's wrong with you? Like, I don't celebrate Christmas. Like, why the hell you here? You don't celebrate Christmas? Like, well, I'm here because y'all asked me, but I really don't want to be here. So I had to kind of bring that down a little bit because I did not want to become what I despised and end up taking somebody else's holiday because I felt like it was taken from me. And then lastly, I just started throwing myself into other activities and exercise. So like on Christmas, I might run Stone Mountain or just do other things to kind of just make sure I take care of myself. So that's my little take on my personal experience for Christmas. So if Christmas have never been took took for you, please keep it because it's so hard to get it back. Trust me. So thank you. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Jay. And I can relate to that. Something I don't think, I mean, I was never incarcerated, so the system didn't take Christmas, but somehow adulthood took Christmas from me. Christmas was always a huge thing. The holidays were huge, and Christmas was my favorite holiday as a child. And as I grew up and found myself away from home and sometimes, away from friends and family, just kind of lost something. And so, I have for the past 13 years been fortunate enough to go home and share it with my mom. And usually it's just she and I, and, we have a really nice meal, and we might watch The Sound of Music or one of those classic Christmas movies. And, as she calls it, we have grown up Christmas. Not quite the same, but it is an opportunity to, share some really special time with my mom. And so I'm grateful for that. Pam, we'll go ahead and let you take it away.
Okay, so I'm a visual person, so I have a couple of slides that I want to share with you guys. All right, let's see here. So thumbs up if you can see. Panelists can show me. Y'all can see them very good. So is this going to be a holiday winter wonderland, or is it going to be a holiday blues? That's what I want to think about. And if you want to join me, what are your do's and your don'ts? I'd like to just tell you a story, and my lived experience has taught me a lot. And so I'm going to talk about three things: overcommitted, overspent, overindulged. Okay. Overcommitted. I wanted to do, I am a personable person, and I got in recovery and I want to go and do the parties and go and whatnot. And I overcommitted. And what I found when I overcommitted, it led to me often reacting with trauma reactions, fight, flight, or freeze, rather than in a centered recovery response. Overspending. I overspent, and I overspent to such a degree that it took me 4 years. When I finally said, I am sick to death of this debt, it took me 4 years of not increasing the debt and paying it off, which I did very recently. And I am so glad, because, is that what I want to do? Because what did that do? That caused stress for me. That overspending caused stress for me. And I don't know if you might be aware of this. The more that you spend on credit cards and you keep on paying your minimums, they will increase that amount that you can have, and they will increase it again, and they will increase it again. And then all of a sudden I am just I am looking at, if I paid the minimums, I'm not going to pay this off for 50 years. I mean, and then overindulging in food, and I choose not to drink anymore, but for some that do, I overindulged, and then I overdanced, just overexerted myself. So these are some of the things that I want to look at. So too many commitments. How many parties, holiday gatherings are the right number for you? I want, to think about that. What are the right number for me? And this is something that I realized in recovery. I have the right to change my RSVP. Okay. If I have said, I'm going to come to your party, I really think it's going to be, yeah, I want to do it. And then I realized I've overcommitted. I have the right to call back and say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it. And that takes courage. But, today I do call and I do say I'm not going to make it, but I do have the right to do that. And then the other question that I want to look at too is, what if you didn't get invited to any parties? Because that sometimes it is the case as well. And so I want to, think about, if I'm not invited to a party, and I wanted to go somewhere to a particular party, or I just wanted to be invited, well, I invite you to make your own party. There's going to be parties at the respite centers, and Roz is probably going to talk about that. And no, at our respite centers. Oh, Claudia, oh gosh, yeah. Our new director is going to talk about that. And make your own party, if that is the case. And what about that spending? Jay talked about it a little bit. Do you have a budget for buying gifts? If you do buy gifts, are you willing to take on debt to buy presents? Those are questions that I just want to put up front, because I had to put it up front for me, because I just wasn't thinking about it, and I was just okay. And and then the next question I had to ask myself is, am I buying things because media is pushing it, that this is the must have? Oh, you must have this gift, to be cool, to be happy, to be, whatever it is. Is it a must have that I am taking on some, they spend billions on marketing, for us to buy stuff. And I don't want to take that on. And today, that's just not what I want to do in recovery. Much indulging, I get to a party and I want to listen to my own body. I want to listen to my own body. Are my eyes bigger than my stomach? And all of this food, or drinks, if you do drink, too many holiday beverages, and then overexerting by going, seriously, I have overdanced myself. And, it is not listening to my own body. My body gives me signs. My body gives me physical signs, emotional signs, spiritual signs. And if for me to not overindulge, I need to stay present in my body. So these are my holidays do's and don'ts.
Pam froze up a little bit. So her holidays do's and don'ts is it don't overcommit. And if I realize
And I do not overcommit. Say that again.
No, you went out. Go ahead.
Okay. These are my holiday do's and don'ts. If I overcommit and I realize that I have, because this is progress, not perfection, I change my RSVP. Mm-hmm. I do not use debt to buy holiday gifts. And I do choose to buy gifts for my close family, right? And I do not overindulge, but if I found that I eat whole foods like fruits and vegetables to counteract the sugars and the fats that are in holiday food. And it's a really great tool that I learned, and if I dance too much, then the next day or two, I just take it easy, my exercise. And so, I just invite you to think about, what are your do's and don'ts, right? And then I do maintain my daily, it's daily. It's not, every once in a while wellness tools. I do maintain my daily wellness, especially during the holiday season. And some of mine are meditation, movement, breathing exercises, rest, water, alone time, and connection with my people in recovery. These are my daily. And so, when I do the wellness tools, then I have a winter wonderland. I get to make the choices about how many gifts I buy, if I buy any, how many parties I go to, if I go to any. And with this responsibility comes great freedom. And so I'm thankful. Roz, I don't know if you want me to, but I do have just a short breathing exercise.
Can
Or
we
do we
save
have time?
Can we save it for the end?
Sure,
Okay.
sure. Thank you
Okay.
for letting me share.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you. Some of those do's and don'ts, so we can have a winter wonderland. And of course, those temptations towards excess during the holidays can create a lot of stress. I see over in the chat, and one of the things that we alluded to a little bit in the beginning, says holiday parties and drugs and alcohol are huge for an addict. You know, lots of folks relapse during the holidays just because of the pressure to be festive. I wanna have fun with everybody else, you know. And also the loneliness. Like I said, what do the lonely do at Christmas? You know, depression. I gave some statistics around, you know, increased depression. You know, there are a lot of people who, you know, have lost family members, and this is the first Christmas without, you know, mom or without grandma or you know, dad or whoever. And I don't know if it ever gets easier over time. You know, it's like it's like a thing that marks, you know, it's like an anniversary marker, you know, during the holidays, to really, you know, focus on those kinds of losses. And so we want to kind of explore some of those things, and also seeing family members. Claudia, I remember you talking about Thanksgiving and some of the challenges of being with family. And so I'll give it to you next, and Ray, feel free to join in, and Pam as well, to talk about some of these things.
Yeah, so each holiday for me brings its own set of family challenges, as do for many people. So I was born on Christmas, and I grew up with the narrative that while I saw other people have birthday parties, my birth wasn't as important because we're going to celebrate Christmas instead. And so that was what the internal narrative of myself growing up was, that my birth wasn't important because Christmas was important. I mean, in all honesty, I know my parents did the best they could. But you know, it is the holidays. There wasn't people that were going to come to a birthday party. There was a suggestion of, let's have it on your half birthday. It still didn't feel the same. And so for a long time, even in my 20s, it was just this source of contention inside of me. And it's really hard to reconcile, because your whole life you go to birthday parties and you help celebrate with other people. And so I never had that experience for myself. And so kind of like Jay, my Christmas was taken in a different way because I didn't end up really enjoying Christmas either. So I kind of lost both things. And so while some people experience a different kind of loss at the holiday season, so do I. It's not because of a person, it's because of an experience that I didn't have, that was part of who I am, my birth. So that's challenging for me. But I think how I've overcome that is that I have a schedule. You know, throughout the whole year, I maintain and try my best to maintain a schedule. It's important to me, maybe because I was formerly incarcerated also, but maintaining a schedule for me is really important. And so when the holidays come, whatever the holiday is, it's really easy to get caught up in the chaoticness of it. And so to stay grounded for me is really important. But one thing that I do for every holiday for myself as a way of celebrating is I do something for someone else. I love that, because anybody who tells you they do something for someone else for nothing in return is lying, because I get something out of that. It feels good. I do it because it feels good for me to do it. And so that's something that I do. Something I don't do for the holidays is I don't force it. I don't force it on myself. I don't force it on other people. I just try to let it be a day just like any other day. And if people want to celebrate it, then let them celebrate it. And if people don't, they don't have to celebrate it. I don't want to call it just another day, because I think that kind of discounts how some people feel about Christmas. But I do want people to feel free to celebrate it and to not celebrate it. So I either way for me is fine. I tried to stay grounded in the things that I know keep me well. Also, because of my work, I will say the things that I know that keep me well are staying connected. And because I am the director of peer services across the state, I want to make a big plug for our respite centers and the warm lines and the services that they provide. If you don't know about them, there is on our website, the Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network is a respite tab, and you'll see there's a Bartow Center, a Cleveland, Georgia Center, Decatur, Moultrie, and Augusta. And each one has a warm line with a warm body on the other end that is offering support if you need it. There's activities and they celebrate every holiday. So it's something to do if you want to do something different. Thanks.
Thank you, Claudia. Ray, share your holiday experience and if you have any, just share your experience, and I'll come back around with some questions for all of you.
Okay, well, Christmas has always and will potentially always be my most favorite holiday and my favorite time of the year. And as grateful as I am for my recovery, a huge part of my recovery was returning to work and being a part of a career or a workforce. And going back to work disconnected me from Christmas as I knew it, because I'm grateful to actually be employed. I've been employed for 7 years, which is the longest I've ever been employed in my adult life. And as much as I have gratitude for that, because it supports my livelihood, I feel like I lost Christmas by going back to work, because I didn't always have a schedule that permitted me to experience Christmas the way I had always experienced it and the way I had always been present with my family. And so the last year I relocated back to Augusta, to my hometown. And so there were some things that changed in my life, including my position at work, and how much our work has changed. And I feel like over the last year, I've been looking forward to regaining that spirit of Christmas that I have experienced in the past. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm hopeful. I've gone through a lot of measures of decorating my home and making it feel warm and making it feel as Christmassy as I possibly can, but something still feels like it's missing. That's one thing about disconnection. When we become disconnected from a person, a place, or anything, it's pretty difficult to reconnect in a way that we had been connected in the past for many people, and I know definitely for myself. And so one of the things that's always been supportive of the holidays for me is being able to give back to someone else. And so this year, I've actually adopted 4 children's wish lists for Christmas. In the past, I would, choose one child and buy everything that was on their Christmas wish list when I could. This year, I selected 2, and then 2 more children came along who their parents actually identified some needs that they had. And so even though I'm not in a place to experience Christmas the way I would like to, I'm a giver, and I really believe in giving. And I want other children to experience Christmas the way I experienced it growing up. And I want them to feel that joy that I used to have for it. And so if it means buying something for someone else and making someone else's Christmas wish come true, I'm all for it. And so that's kind of where I am with Christmas.
Thank you. I know holiday time can add, there's stress that we've all been talking about, and it can add stress or create stress in our relationships. Also, like we talked about, going home for the holidays and maybe, there's that brother that you hadn't talked to in 10 years, or, that difficult relative. Does anybody have any experience with dealing with these sort of relationship challenges that often come up during the holidays? Go ahead, Pam.
You know, one thing that I have realized with some of the training that we have done is that, you know, if you're sitting at the table, and I was sitting at the table, so I'll say me, because it is me, or it was me. I'm sitting at the table, and then, you know, this aunt comes along and she's pissy, right? And can you say that word? I just did. Okay. So anyway, and so then a trauma response that I did often is, oh, I got to make her happy. She's irritated. I got to make her happy. Oh, okay. So I'll try to be funny. And then that doesn't work. And she's still, you know, off or whatever. Still, it looks like she's irritated. Oh, well, it must be something I did. And what I realized is those are trauma responses, me taking on other people, responsibility for other people's mood, behavior, whatnot. And, you know, it's easy to get into that when you're, like, as you mentioned, when you are back into these family dynamics of where trauma happened. And those were some of the ways that we survived the trauma. Let me, you know, and mine was to not, you know, let me be the one that smooths everything out. Let me be the one that's funny and smooths, you know, so people aren't mad. And I realized that I'm not responsible for Auntie. I'm not responsible for her. And thinking that I am causes me to have anxiety, me to have depression, me to have mental health challenges. And so I'm just grateful for that. Sometimes it still happens, and you know, so I have to excuse myself, go to the bathroom. You know, I've done interesting things in bathrooms. You know, scream. I mean, scream in a towel. Go outside is one of my favorite. Let me, you know, go outside, and some of those things, so that I'm not repeating trauma responses.
Thank you, Pam. It's very interesting how, you know, when we're out and off, away from family and away from home, you know, we're living our best lives. You know, we're practicing all of our wellness. There's something about going back into that family dynamic that can put us right back into that role, you know. And so thank you for sharing that. Claudia, you want to add to this?
Yeah. So my family's kind of disjointed, which makes it even more strange. It's not that anybody's angry at holiday stuff. Nobody knows how to act at all. And so it's not even, I mean, it used to be kind of humorous. And so there's no expectation. I don't know if we're going to meet this holiday or not meet this holiday. Who's getting along with who, because that normally determines the guest list. It's so overwhelming. You know, like you said, Roz, you know, I find myself reverting back to some of, you know, Pam, also the trauma responses or my childhood, feeling very childlike and uncertain. And that just brings a whole nother level of stress. I have found myself, especially this past Thanksgiving, trying to navigate conversations prior to even having them. You know, trying to figure out, what am I going to say if so-and-so does this? And I put these expectations on meeting my family that don't need to be there. For me, where I'm at in my personal recovery is there has to be a level of acceptance, not only on my end, but mutually on the other end too. And if it's not there, I have every right to decline the RSVP to my own party. You know, and so every year, that's something that I consider, you know, is it healthy for me, given my own personal mental health today, to have a relationship or have a meal or have a party, because I matter too. And my feelings matter too. The holidays are not just about trying to please other people. It's about the fact that I matter too, and I can take time out for myself. And I don't want to add anything else to my life. I don't want to add any extra temporary stress that's going to throw my next however many weeks or days off kilt. And I don't want to have to recover from something that's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, thank you, Claudia. Ray, do you have anything to add with navigating family, in-laws, just merging family, anything on these familiar relationships and how they can get kind of sticky during the holidays?
Well, I would have to be honest and say I'm probably that sticky person, because I want Christmas to be a certain way, and it seems like everybody else has kind of moved away from what we used to do so long ago. We used to get up really early on Sunday mornings, and we'd have like a caravan, and so whoever stops by somebody's house first, you see all the kids' gifts and exchange gifts, and then everybody get in their cars and go to the next person's house. And I really loved that as a kid. And so we go to like 10 people's homes, family members, for Christmas, and I always enjoyed it. And now we don't even do that. Well, we marginally do it, where there are a couple people who feel like, well, everybody should just stop by my house. And so what that has ended up becoming for me is that, so I need to gather my children and we need to go and stop by everybody's house, but nobody else is doing it. And so there are times when I give in and I may select a certain couple family members and I'll go and visit them. But for the most part, I'd rather be at my own home. And so I cook, and as long as my children come, I'm good. But yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in family, because I want Christmas to be the way it was, and for whatever reason it changed for other people and nobody talks about why it changed. They're just doing something different. And I'm like the little kid, like, hey, y'all, it's Christmas. What's going on? You all are not celebrating Christmas. You stole Christmas. And so I'm the sticky person.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's funny. Tradition in my family, the way I grew up, is we always put the Christmas tree up on Christmas Eve. And, when I say that to people, they're just like, wow, and so the idea of putting the Christmas tree up on Halloween or on, the day after Thanksgiving, to me, it's just like, no, you don't do that. You know what I mean? And that's been something that I've just had to let go of, like in relationships and things, just because the idea of putting a tree up on Christmas Eve is just a foreign concept to most people, and they are not accepting of that. And so that's a tradition that I've just had to forego for the sake of those that I'm around. Jay, I will give it to you.
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. And I just, as everyone was sharing, first of all, I was like, oh, Claudia, you had a lot of competition. Your birthday you had to compete with Jesus. I was like, that's pretty heavy. I was like, oh, on my birthday, I had to compete with James. You got to compete with Jesus. That's pretty deep. But for me, when I think about those stressful or conflicts, what I had to do was realize that the holidays wasn't a one-size-fits-all type celebration. In a sense, I had to make it something that was special and unique for me, in spite of my past traumas with the holiday season. Because if I didn't, I found myself going to 5 houses. Like on Thanksgiving, I went from, for those of you in Georgia or from other states, it's like going from the south part of the state to the north part of the state to the west part of the state, and next thing you know, I've burnt up half my gas, and I'm miserable because I'm full, because everywhere you go, you got to eat what they cook. You have to eat, or you ain't eating, and if you don't eat, something wrong with you. So he ain't eating, he must be back on that stuff again. No, I ate 15 slices of potato salad and pecan pie, or sweet potato pie, that's what I eat, before I got here. So no, I don't want nothing else. So I had to sit back and just kind of acknowledge and own the holidays and what it meant for me, and not let somebody else kind of guilt me into celebrating in a manner that was conducive to what's used to them. Even as Ray talked about traditions and doing things like how it used to be, I had to realize that as people grow and see things different, and some people get too smart for the holidays, like they stop feeling the holidays and start thinking about it, whether it's from a theological perspective or over commercialization of stuff. And now it becomes like this point of contention, like, man, it ain't that deep. Okay. So I had to sit back and really just try my best, even with my past situations with Christmas, to realize like the real intent for it with me is just the time to connect. And I know all of us that experience substance use disorder and mental health challenges, it's like that's the basis of what we do to stay well, and just kind of using this opportunity instead of it being a point of contention, but to be a point of connection.
Jackie, you had a question that you wanted to ask?
Yeah, so it's like based on all of that, so how do we like find peace in that? Like, because everyone on the panel and people, and I've been reading the chat, man, good job for y'all blowing up the chat and being able to really engage in the chat. It's like, how do you find that peace and own that without feeling like you have to overextend yourself? I know Claudia talked about just kind of, you know, I had to realize that my feelings mattered, and Ray say she still take control and she gonna get them keys and we gonna drive around, we going somewhere. Pam got her do's and her don'ts. So what about y'all? Y'all can drop it in the chat. Like, how do you own it? And I just want to pose that question to my fellow colleagues on the panel. Like, how do you like get back to that spirit of what the holidays really supposed to be about?
I'll go. I can tell you that for me, the way I get to that spirit of life is wellness tools. So for me, Christmas is or the holidays, it is, if I get to the meaning of what I want that to be by staying with the wellness tools. Mm-hmm. And then I can hear what I need to do, what I don't need to do in the moment. You know, I can go, like I said, I can go outside. I can go to the bathroom and yell in a towel. I can say, I am too full. My body's telling me I'm too full, you know. So for me, it is, y'all know how I feel about the wellness tools. And it is, that's recovery for me. That's life. That is freedom. And so it means that not only is the holidays are great because of that. And yes, things are brought up. This, you know, my dad passed, you know, so what do? I do my wellness tools. And then I add a few more. I might need to journal a little bit about my dad, you know, and he makes sure that yes, Dad, I'm talking about you every day. He makes sure I'm talking about him every day. And so, you know, there are more things at this time. The traffic in Atlanta, I was like, what, you know, everybody's shopping, I guess, or whatever. And so I have to do those things because there are more things that are coming in the way of my wellness. So I have to practice those things, Jay, that, and then, you know, and I don't do it perfectly. And so then I'm reminded, you know, or my children remind me like, oh, do you need to go to one of those meetings, you know, or something, Pam, you know, Mom. But, you know, that's the way that I stay connected and feel that spirit of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share on that? Take it.
Yeah, I'll share. One of the things I do is I find myself listening to that song. I can't remember her name, but she sings "Where Are You Christmas," the song from the Grinch. And so I play that a lot because there's a sadness that kind of comes with the holidays for me because I just can't seem to find Christmas the way I used to. And so I allow myself to feel that sadness so that I could actually move through it during the holidays. And then beyond that, I kind of leave it up to my children. If they want to do something special, even if it's something that, you know, it's kind of costly, as long as we can make it work, we do it. And so there have been times when we've gone to Florida for Christmas. There are times when we've gone to Gatlinburg for Christmas. And it's like, whenever they want to go someplace like that, it's like, I feel like, oh, that's awesome because I'm going to where the spirit of Christmas is. And I remember being at Universal Studios a couple years ago, and it's like they decorate very nicely. My children, even though they're young adults, they like Harry Potter, and it's like as long as they were happy and they were enjoying the environment, that was Christmas for me, because the decor was there. They had the joy and the happiness that I valued. And then going to Gatlinburg up in the mountains where the weather was cool, there was decor everywhere. I felt like, oh, wow, Christmas is here. And so when I can't really connect to Christmas at home with my family, I'm grateful that every so often we can actually leave the area and go somewhere where I feel like I can find the spirit of Christmas.
Claudia.
I think one of the things that's important to me is, despite how I feel about Christmas or how I don't feel about Christmas, I do have younger kids, and I want them to be able to set up their own traditions that they value. And so, like I shared earlier about my birthday being on Christmas and being challenging for me, I have a daughter and her birthday is 5 days after Christmas. And so I get the opportunity to focus on her and to show her that her birthday matters. And I shared with her, my challenges and why it's important to me, for me to make it important that she's recognized. And so, and the other thing we do is we wake up, we go to Waffle House. We just go to Waffle House on Christmas, and we love that. That's the first thing my kids say when they wake up is, we're going to Waffle House. Can I wear this? And yes, yes, you can wear that. Yes, we're going to Waffle House. And so, if that's the only thing that they grow up embracing and loving about the holiday, I want them to walk away with the holiday with something that has meaning for them. Because I think for me, that's what it's about, is having meaningful connections throughout the year. But I think especially during the holidays, it's so easy to disconnect, and it's much more challenging to stay connected. And so trying my best to have meaningful connections with the people who hold value in my life is important.
Thank you for that, Claudia. I just want to jump in on this one. For me, when you talk about meaningful connections and in the spirit of Christmas, my mother is home for me. Like, no matter where she is located on the map, she is home. And so for me, and she's aging, she's 85. Her health isn't the greatest anymore. She can cook, y'all, and she doesn't cook anymore. So that's like a real loss. But now, I take a lot of pleasure in, I do the cooking. I do the cooking for her, and I really try to just like blow her mind, just cook her something really, really special, and we share a beautiful meal, and there's just something about that tradition I don't think will ever go away, just breaking bread and spending time together, and just quiet. But it's okay, we listen to Christmas carols, we turn the Christmas music on and sing around the house and share some really nice food, and the gift exchange might be a Christmas card, for older people, they like really put a lot of stock into Christmas cards, and I know the card that my mother gives me, she probably, stood in the store for an hour picking out the perfect card, and just really taking that and being grateful for that. And I recognize that, I have a limited number of Christmases to come with my mother, just because none of us get out of here alive. Like I said, she's 85. And so I really, just value every Christmas, every day with her. But every Christmas, and just try to be there for her. I have brothers, they have families, and so they don't come at Christmas. And so, it's always been my thing to ensure that my mother doesn't spend Christmas alone. And so, that's what I do. I go home, and when I say home, I'm talking about I go to experience that bond and that closeness with my mom.
Awesome. And I got a confession. I do two things on Christmas around the holidays. I love a few Christmas songs. I love Boyz II Men, Let It Snow. I love Christmas Brown rendition of This Christmas. And I would play those songs 5,700 times And I'm gonna put on me a Christmas outfit. I ain't gonna even cap, y'all. Cap and black people turn means I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna even tell no lie. I'm gonna put my drip and black people turn me outfit. I'm gonna put that on and I'm gonna listen to my Christmas music and I'm gonna pull up to somebody's house because I had to realize like it ain't going nowhere. Like just because I had a negative experience with Christmas don't mean people gonna stop Christmasing. So I had to be like, you know what? I had to, and I guess that's my next, I guess maybe the final question is like, even though we've had our adverse experiences with Christmas on so many levels, some of us, like, what do you glean from out of that can make you sit back and reflect and be like, you know, outside of all the stimuli and the other things that kind of can make Christmas overwhelming, like what do you find? Like for me, it's my Christmas song is that Boys the Man. Outside is snow. It ain't even snowing. And the fire's bright, so let it snow. And I'm singing to let it snow, even though I don't really like Christmas. So it's something that overcomes you. So again, how do you find that peace that just be like, man, you know what? This ain't all that bad. You know, I'm gonna tap into it and I'm gonna tap and I'm gonna tap and I'm gonna tap. But I'm not gonna let anybody like, I don't want to be robbed of that, like, because it's an experience. And if I reflect back, I had some pretty awesome Christmases. I did. I was the lightest person in my family. So they actually thought I was Jesus because they believed that Jesus was looking like me. I was in the manger in the church play till I was 15 because they couldn't find nobody lighter than me. I'm sitting in the manger with a beard. I'm like, they need to find somebody else to play Jesus. And I'm like, no, you know, Jesus, you can put him whatever color you want to put him. So how do y'all really be able to just be like, you know, I get it. In recovery, can't go certain places because they got alcohol. Your family members are shading you. People ask you, oh, you ain't married yet. No, you ain't got a new wig yet. You know, we got a lot of stuff going on here. So how do you get into that and still walk away and feel like it's a joyous time of year? So how do you do it?
Oh, Jay.
Oh my gosh, Jay, for a couple of things. You in the manger, okay, that visual, all right. And then also I want to see the outfit. See the picture of the outfit next
no,
time.
I got you.
Okay.
I got the sweater on now.
All right. But for me, I was just thinking about how, given what everybody's been saying here, it made me start thinking about my husband's family and, you know, our family now with our kids. They have some really sweet traditions, which we really didn't. And my, you know, maybe because we were, you know, it was a single mom. I don't know, whatever. But they eat. He's from Mexico, and they eat on Christmas strawberries with powdered sugar and then huevos rancheros. Okay, so like my kids cannot wait for that. I mean, they just cannot wait for that. And so it is sweet to, even though I didn't have, we did, I mean, we celebrated Christmas, but you know, we just didn't have those kind of traditions that we did every single year. And they do that. They have traditions every single year. And they also have very special stockings. Okay. I mean, like, you know, they're not just the kind you buy at Walmart. Okay. These things are elaborate, right? And so and then when we married into the family, Gary's mother made sure that we had that amazing stocking. So, and she passed this year. So that's another, you know, thing. Wow, you know, but it's just beautiful that those stockings, and now there are 24 of them that are across, and it's just beautiful thinking about those traditions. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, I think, I mean, so how we get through it, is that what you're asking, Jay?
Like, how do you even though with you being in competition with Jesus,
Yeah.
like, how do you find something that's like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's still okay.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it earlier, because I think humor plays a big part in me getting through tough times. There is a place for, you know, awareness and recognizing the things that are going on in my body and all those things. But I think when we can bring humor into the conversations at the holidays, that's something that everybody from everywhere can relate to something funny. As long as it's not me, I'm not the butt of the joke, or people in the room aren't the butt of the joke. I'm never going to win in a competition between me and Jesus. Never. When I was growing up, I was like, he gets every Sunday and my birthday. I was so resentful. I couldn't even. I just could not. And my parents put me in a Catholic school and we had to sing and all this stuff. I mean, it was one resentment after another. But and that leads to my other thing. So I think humor is a piece of it. And then I also think we haven't really kind of said much about people's faith around the holidays. And I think that regardless of your faith, I think for me, it's important to have a time of reflection and prayer. Like what am I preparing for? Like it's the end of December's the end of something and the beginning of something new. And so I think that using that time to be reflective and have some time to pray for me is important and for my family. So, but definitely humor. There's always going to be a balance of all kinds of different things, but those things are important to me.
Nice, right.
Yeah, for me, it's music and it's going to church. And so because I love Christmas so much and I'm in this pursuit of that spirit of Christmas, I just need to feel it. One of the things that my children and I have done is like my children have to go on my Christmas adventures until they tell me no, they have to go. But they get a huge benefit because they don't have to pay for the stuff that they want to do at Christmas time. And so we've gone to see the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And so I don't know if y'all know, they have Christmas songs every year. And it's like, we had to go to that show. I mean, it's spectacular with the pyrotechnics and the storytelling and the violins and even the orchestra hidden way back in the back. It's just really cool. And so that gets that intensity that I feel like I need to feel and to express. But the real truth of what supports me with getting through the difficulty of not experiencing Christmas the way I want to is going to church. I need to go to church somewhere during the holiday season to experience the hymns of Christmas. I love Christmas hymns. I love seeing the choir and hearing the choir sing. I like hearing the little children's choir, and I love reading about the birth of Christ. And so I always have to hear the story of Christ's birth, even though it's not an easy story to hear. Somebody was trying to kill him before he was even born. But it's like I still want to hear the story because that connects me to the experience and the spirit of Christmas from my childhood. And it's like I'm always searching for that, and I always want it. And even though I can never experience it to that degree, music really helps, going to church really helps, and listening to the Christmas story from the Bible really helps me to get through the holidays.
Yes, thank you. And for me, it's music as well. Music and food, man, cooking. But I love Babyface's Christmas. That's like one of my favorite albums. But I also love Handel's Messiah, and I go through the house singing the Hallelujah chorus, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and I just love it. And so music is a huge part of the holidays for me. And I think it's in that, that I really find that peace. I also love lights. So I go around and I try to find, pretty Christmas lights. And that just, that touches that little kid in me. So that's what does it for me. We're at 12:59. Y'all have been awesome.
Yeah.
The folks participating, y'all been, yes, the Temptations. That's right. You can't do it without Silent Night. I see you, Patrick. Folks over in the chat, y'all have been awesome and participating. Thank you all. And I give it back to Stephanie.
Yeah, and just know, please, one more thing, Steph, before they go, I know we're about to run out, is just please know that you're not alone. Stay connected. You're not alone. And we're here for you as organization, as peers, and you're not alone. So thank you so much.
Yeah, call the Warm Line, visit the respite centers. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, panelists, for sharing your thoughts, your experiences, some tips, supportive resources there with us today. A thank you to all of our attendees for joining and sharing your thoughts in the chat. We do hope you take a moment to provide feedback on today's event by clicking on that link in the chat. And again, have a wonderful holiday season and the rest of the month of December. And we hope you join us for future events in 2023. Please check our website for more information. Thank you so much, everyone, and take care.
Thanks, Pam. Thanks, Claudia. Thanks, Ray.
Thank
Jay.
you. Take
See y'all.
care, everybody.